The shocking truth: Jews, Hebrews, and Israelites unveiling their hidden connection. Few knew what truly happened that night, cloaked in shadows and fear. The air was thick with tension. In a quiet corner of Jerusalem, voices whispered of secrets long buried. It was an extraordinary moment, for history was about to unfold its secrets. Once, the Jewish people wandered the sands of ancient Egypt, labeled as mere slaves. However, beneath the weight of oppression, they secretly clung to a powerful promise. They called themselves Israelites, each name echoing the depth of their shared identity. Spilling with history, the cries of their ancestors vibrated in the shadows. Could it be that the ties that bound them were stronger than any chain? In the vibrant heart of the city, the temple stood like a giant sentinel overlooking their lives. It was more than stone and mortar, it resonated with divine purpose. Its history was steeped in miracles and the silent prayers of generations. But now, a storm brewed, threatening to rip apart the very fabric of what they believed. Dilemmas raged like wildfire. The priestly line had faltered. Did their sacred covenants still hold weight? Was the divine still listening? The streets buzzed with rumors of upheaval. A voice in the dark promised liberation. The crowd shivered, not from the cool night air, but from the fear of what was coming. Would their adversaries crush them, or could they rise above their fate once more? As their stories intertwined, the realization dawned: they were not just two groups. They were bound by a shared narrative, a relentless quest for freedom, truth, and identity. But the truth lay hidden, locked in the hearts of those who dared to remember. And then silence fell, a deafening hush. Eyes widened, breath held. What awaited them at dawn? The light of revelation? Or the darkness of despair? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As dawn began to paint the horizon with strokes of orange and pink, a sense of anticipation hung in the air, as palpable as the cool morning mist. The streets of Jerusalem stirred to life, but underneath the bustle lay a current of anxiety. People moved deliberately, knowing not just the weight of their daily tasks but also the critical juncture at which their lives stood. In the heart of this unyielding city, some sought comfort in the sanctuary of the temple. The heavy wooden doors creaked, revealing a world where prayers were poured out in haste and supplication. Shadows danced around the flickering oil lamps, each flame symbolizing hope in a time of uncertainty. Priests gathered, their faces etched with concern. Long had they prayed for clarity, yet they felt more lost than ever. The scrolls that once spoke of divine promises now felt heavy, almost suffocating under the pressure of doubt. Among the priests was a young man named Eliav, whose heart yearned for connection to the traditions that shaped his people. He often pondered the stories of their ancestors, the trials they faced, the miracles that saved them, and the promises forged in the fires of desperation. What if, amid this chaos, we could rediscover our strength? He mused. His voice, usually a gentle whisper, rose above the murmurs of his elders, echoing in the solemn hall. What if the bond between Jewish people, Hebrews, and Israelites holds the key to our survival? The elder priests looked upon him with a mix of reverence and concern. They understood a truth that had eluded many: their identities intertwined, each thread woven through shared experiences of struggle and loss. In moments of despair, they had to remember the faith that had ignited countless souls through generations, the faith that spoke of guidance amidst the wilderness. Not far from the temple, a group of women gathered, their heads bowed, their voices a soft melody of solidarity. They spoke of their foremothers who defied oppression, who taught resilience in the face of unimaginable trials. One woman, Miriam, clasped a pendant around her neck, a simple token passed down through the ages. This, she declared, is a reminder of our lineage, of the promises made to us and our ancestors. It's a symbol of unwavering faith, a necklace that carries the weight of centuries. As they shared their stories, the idea of unity began to take hold, blossoming in the hearts of those present. The realization surfaced, one that melded with the morning light creeping in through the open windows. They shared more than lineage, they shared a mission to carry forth ancient truths in troubled times, yet, outside the shelter of their sanctuary, the world was in turmoil. Shouts echoed from the marketplace, where a faction advocating for change raged against perceived injustices. Their passionate cries punctuated the air, stirring the people's hearts and igniting a fire of hope and fear alike. Could this truly be liberation, or merely another leap into chaos? Eliav stepped outside the temple, feeling both the heat of the sun and the cool shadow of foreboding. Is this revolution the answer? He pondered. Are we ready to forge a new story, or are we merely reaching for a fleeting moment of freedom that may lead to greater turmoil? He glanced back at the temple, where the walls had stood witness to both great triumphs and heart-wrenching losses. As the sun climbed higher, illuminating the path ahead, the whispers of hope mingled with uncertainty. Would they stand together, united in their shared history, or would the fractures deepen amid the clamor for change? Questions hung in the air, ready to be answered, yet remaining tantalizingly out of reach. What deep-rooted truths awaited discovery in their intertwined identities? And as they sought liberation, would they remember the sacred threads that bound them, or would they risk losing themselves entirely? As the sun settled into its rightful place in the sky, illuminating the streets of Jerusalem in a warm, golden hue, an unsettling silence enveloped the temple precincts. Eliav lingered at the threshold, consumed by the storm of thoughts swirling in his mind. The noise of the market had receded into a dull roar, replaced by the more intimate murmurs of doubt that echoed in the hollow spaces of his heart. He yearned to decipher what this moment meant, not just for himself, but for all those whose lives twisted together into a single tapestry of faith and despair. Amid the shadows of the temple, the air thickened with a sense of urgency. Eliav found himself drawn to the sacred scrolls that had been his lifeline since childhood. As he unwrapped one, the parchment felt cool under his fingers, a stark contrast to the heat of his thoughts. The familiar words seemed to shimmer in the flickering torchlight, suggesting secrets buried beneath layers of interpretation. Perhaps, he whispered to himself, this isn't just a record of our past, maybe it holds a vision for our future. In the background, the prayers of the faithful rose like incense, simpler and bolder amid the chaos. Eliav's mind wandered to the stories of his ancestors, their struggles, their triumphs, and their unwavering faith in the face of adversity. Each chapter they wrote had been a testament to survival, bound by hope and resilience. What would they say if they were here now? He wondered aloud, drawing the attention of an elder priest nearby. Rabbi Yonah, your ancestors might remind us, Yonah replied, his voice thick with years of wisdom, that the struggles of a people are not always visible in the immediate turmoil. Instead, they are etched into our hearts in collective memory, waiting to guide us when we feel most lost. The connections among Jews, Hebrews, and Israelites are profound, they stretch beyond history and into the very essence of who we are. Eliav furrowed his brow, yearning for clarification. But how do we navigate these waters of change without losing the essence of our identity? When the voices of the people cry for liberation, can we hold on to our ancient truths? Yonah's gaze softened, the lines of his face betraying a well of emotions. It is said that in the darkest hour, the light shines brightest. We must remember that our unity is not solely a historical footnote, it is a living, breathing bond that informs our very being. In recognizing this, we may discover a path through the chaos. But it will require courage to embrace the complexities of our identity while striving for justice. Meanwhile, the women who had congregated earlier felt the storm brewing outside the temple walls. Miriam clutched her pendant tightly, her heart aligned with the prayers of Eliav and the elder priest. We must act, but not just in rebellion, she implored the other women. Our history teaches us that actions born from despair can yield unexpected results if not anchored in our core beliefs. The strength of our forebears lies in their willingness to elevate faith above fear. Have we merely become vessels for the tumult around us? Another woman whispered, gazing out at the frenzied market, where voices turned to chants and passion morphed into fervor. Or can we weave a new narrative from the threads of our legacy, one that unites rather than divides? Eliav felt a flicker of inspiration igniting amidst the turmoil. Miriam, perhaps you, too, embody the essence of what we must endeavor to forge, a connection that rallies us towards transformation without erasing our heritage. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows through the temple's arches, the questions lingered uncomfortably in the air. How could they balance the urgency for change with the foundation of their shared past? Could the sanctity of their history lead them forward, even as the world outside threatened to tear them apart? With uncertainty ahead, Eliav pondered what awaited them in the murmur of the wind and the heartbeat of the city. Would their exploration into the shared essence of their identities uncover the strength needed to navigate this tumultuous journey? And, as whispers of revolution continued to rise, would they emerge intact, or risk losing the very fabric that held their dreams together? A heavy silence settled over the temple as twilight deepened and the stars began to blink hesitantly into the night. Eliav stood lost in thought, his hand still resting on the scroll, as if the ancient words themselves might leap to life and guide him. He sensed the tension within the sacred walls, an unvoiced conversation teeming with hope and fear, woven through the prayers that filled the air like an aromatic incense. Rabbi Yonah watched Eliav intently, as if sensing a storm of resolve gathering within the young man. Each generation stands at a crossroads, he offered quietly. We have inherited a legacy that is both a gift and a burden. The narratives of our ancestors guide such generations like beacons through the fog. But now we must add our voices to the chorus, reflecting our own truth, even as we seek to honor theirs. Could our truth be something they never dreamed of? Eliav pondered aloud, the thought igniting a flicker of anxiety in his heart. What if our struggles and our desires twist into something far from the paths they walked? I fear we may stray too far from our roots. Yonah regarded Eliav's apprehension with understanding. A tree's strength is found in its roots, yet it must reach for the sky to flourish. Just as our faith has expanded beyond the confines of survival, our voices must now bloom in the tension. Change is often a wild, tangled growth, but it can yield fruit if nurtured with wisdom. Meanwhile, Miriam stepped out into the night air, calling the women together. I feel it, too, she began, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. The winds of change swirl about us, and it is our task to harness that power, channeling it towards a vision that honors who we are as a people while boldly leaning into the unknown. A murmur of assent rippled through the gathering. But how? Someone called, the uncertainty palpable in their tone. By fortifying our identities through dialogue, Miriam replied with passion, clutching her pendant tighter. Honor the past, yes, but also lustento our pain, our hopes, and our dreams. As we share our voices, we will reveal the threads of connection that bind us not just to our history but to one another. And so they began to share stories of exile and return, of miracles witnessed and of dark nights of uncertainty. They recounted tales of perseverance and triumph, threading ancient wisdom into the fabric of their present struggles. Eliav felt his heart swell, the energy in the room shifted, as if the very spirit of their ancestors had joined them in this moment of unity. As laughter mingled with tears, a realization dawned upon Eliav. He had once believed connection lay solely in the shared experience of suffering, but now he saw it stretching out through collective triumphs and visions yet unimagined. Cultivating this dialogue could be the key to harmonizing their disparate threads. Eliav, what think you of this path? Yonah asked, his wisdom tracing the lines of Eliav's contemplative face. While ancestors watched over us, their wisdom cannot fully illuminate our steps. It is you, both young and yet bearing the weight of our legacy, who must now embrace the uncertainty ahead. As the stars twinkled overhead, Eliav realized they were not alone in this journey. The weight of their ancestors pressed upon them, urging them forth, yet they were called to carve out a new destiny. He could feel the weight of expectation hanging above him like the moon. How do we ensure that hope is the guiding star and not despair? He voiced, pondering the delicate balance. The air felt electric, charged with the possibilities that rattled in their hearts. Was it possible that the very act of honoring their legacy by embracing change could unlock the hidden depths of their connection? What new tapestry of identity would they weave as they navigated this uncharted territory? And amid the echoes of their ancestors, what fresh revelations awaited them in the shadows of the uncertain future? As the voices of the women and men intertwined, forming a tapestry woven from both laughter and pain, the temple's shimmering walls seemed to absorb every spoken word. The stars, appearing so bright in the clear night sky, mirrored the luminous hope building within Eliav's heart. Yet, as he shared his thoughts, a shadow loomed, the uncertainty that accompanied change. "I feel a rift between who we have been and who we may become," Eliav confessed, his voice barely rising above the soft murmurs around him. "What if, in our quest for truth, we blaze a trail that reduces our richness to mere shadows? Will we lose the essence of our identity?" Rabbi Yonah listened, nodding thoughtfully. "Every significant growth emerges from a seed buried in darkness," he responded. "What you see as a rift may indeed be the first stirrings of a transformation, leading to a new understanding of ourselves. We must remember that the roots of our identity are nourished by truths, complex and often contradictory." Eliav considered his words. Could it be that the tension within their narratives, the stories of their forebears laced with despair and promise, could be seen not as a division, but rather as a living dialectic propelling them forward? It was in this interplay that he sensed divine movement, a presence guiding them gently through their apprehension. "This dialogue we are nurturing," Miriam interjected, her voice warm with conviction, "is not merely about seeking consensus but unearthing the richness of our perspectives. We are the branches of a sacred tree. We must not fear diverse expressions of faith and identity. Each voice contributes to the greater whole," she asserted, glancing at Eliav, as if daring him to embrace the challenge. As more stories poured forth, narratives of struggles in distant lands, of families torn apart, and of miraculous reunions, Eliav felt barriers within himself begin to crumble. There was beauty in their history, yes, but a profound yearning for the future as well. His heart raced, and with it came an awakening realization: perhaps it was his calling, as a descendant of such a rich legacy, to be a bridge rather than a barrier. Could it be, he wondered aloud, that our journey to understand, to reconcile our past with the hopes of our future, is precisely what will unlock the hidden truths about ourselves? It could be the stories we share that transform our division into a common vision. "A vision is not merely received," Yonah chimed in, his voice steady and wise. "It is forged through wrestling with our collective truths and acknowledging our fears. Just as Jacob wrestled with the angel, we must grapple with our identities, unearthing the divine intention that resides within our struggles." A stillness fell over the group as the weight of the rabbi's words settled among them. Each individual felt the divine tug gently at their hearts, calling them to seek connection even when it felt daunting. Eliav took a breath, sensing something profoundly transformative was afoot. What if their willingness to embrace this dialogue could lead to revelations beyond their current understanding? Miriam's eyes sparkled with unheld tears as she whispered, "What if our quest for unity does not eliminate our differences but celebrates them?" The question hung heavily in the air, stirring every participant's spirit. Indeed, what if it is through our struggles that the truest stories emerge, stories that define us, not as fragmented beings, but as a collaborative whole? Eliav breathed, excitement brewing within him. Yet as his imagination unfurled amid these revelations, shadows of doubt crept in once more. In our quest for new truths, will we risk losing the spiritual legacies that have brought us thus far? Will future generations remember who we were, or only what we become? He wondered aloud, his heart brimming with hope laced with trepidation. As the discussions swirled, the uncertainty settled like evening dew, heavy but pregnant with potential. Eliav's heart pounded with fervor, a call to rise with courage amidst fears, inviting the unknown while seeking to honor the past. What will the journey of discovery unveil? In their quest for unity, what hidden truths about their collective identity will emerge from the fog of their present uncertainties? As the moon climbed higher in the sky, casting its gentle glow upon the gathered assembly, a deep contemplative silence fell. Eliav could feel the weight of their collective thoughts, a palpable energy that danced around them, mingling with the soft rustle of the leaves in the cool breeze. It was then that the question of identity surfaced, this nebulous yet essential inquiry that seemed to bind them together in this ethereal space. Rabbi Yonah sensed the stirring of the group, inviting each one to delve deeper. "Let us not shy away from the questions that dwell within our hearts," he began, his voice resonating through the night. For in our very names the Jews, the Hebrews, the Israelites lies a tapestry woven from various threads of history, faith, and experience. It is imperative we uncover the truths hidden beneath the surface of our labels. Miriam, emboldened by the rabbi's encouragement, ventured, but is our connection solely defined by these names? What lies beyond the titles we wear? Can we imagine a deeper bond that transcends our differences? Eliab felt a shift within him, an awakening to the possibility that their divisions might simply be gateways to richer relationships. Perhaps we have been so preoccupied with names and histories that we have neglected the essence of our shared humanity. But how do we begin to uncover that essence? He turned to the rabbi, searching for guidance, for a roadmap to navigate the complexities